And we have the CEO of Digital Catapult, Dr. Jeremy Silver, who's going to spend the next 15 minutes talking about the business case for innovation in this difficult time. So, Jeremy, the floor is yours.
Great.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you very much for sticking around before we rush off to the break. I don't know how many of the speakers that you've heard so far in the conference have said to you that their speech was actually written by ChatGPT and that they just sort of asked it to write the speech for them and they wrote it. I can assure you, I haven't actually done that this morning. You can decide at the end of my talk whether or not you think it would have been better if I had. But as you've heard from the last speaker at the last panel, the level of technological change that we're currently experiencing is unprecedented and is only going to accelerate. It's not just about artificial intelligence, although that's the talking point of the moment. It's across a whole range of technologies which are profoundly going to change the business environment as well as the consumer environment, and I hope are going to change the way in which we address some of the fundamental challenges that the planet faces today. There is a recent commentator who asked the question, which is going to kill us first? Is it going to be climate change or is it going to be artificial intelligence? I hope the answer is neither of those things and that we'll use one in order to prevent the other. But in order to do that, there is a requirement, and there's a requirement to innovate. And in a sense, if you ever needed a fundamental imperative and a reason why change and innovation within your business is a necessity, those two criteria are the ones. So my name is Jeremy Silver. I'm the CEO of Digital Catapult. I've been an entrepreneur for the last 20 years in the technology and the music space, where more change happened more quickly and earlier than almost any other sector that you can think of. And Digital Catapult, which I've run for the last 7 years, is an organization that is dedicated to taking the bright ideas and the innovation that come from the research base and come from startups and early stage businesses and that ecosystem and accelerating those into the market, helping connect early stage companies to traditional businesses and helping traditional businesses solve some of their innovation challenges. We are funded by Innovate UK. We're part of a network of 9 catapults, many of which have much more focused, narrow remits than we do. So there's a catapult that deals with offshore renewable energy. There's a catapult that deals with cell and gene therapy. So we have the privilege, the blessing and the curse, if you like, of being the digital one, which means we cover a huge range. And obviously, these days, when you talk about digital, a lot of people end up thinking, well, actually, what does that actually mean? Does it mean anything anymore? What does it mean? Well, for us, we've had to really try and define that and reduce that to something that is an area of focus that people can understand, but also to really identify where are the strengths that the UK has got that we still haven't leveraged, that we could still bring more strongly into the marketplace. And so there are a range of technologies that go from AI and machine learning, where the UK has incredible strengths at the academic level, but has really yet to translate that into commercial reality, right through to the 5G and future telecoms networks, through to more immersive technologies like augmented reality and virtual reality, and to some of the more enabling technologies like, for example, blockchain, distributed ledger technology, and so on. We kind of divide all of those up into teams, and so we have depth of expertise. We have engineers and technical specialists as well as business specialists in each of those areas. But actually, none of us really thinks that those technologies are ever work in isolation. They almost always work in combination with one another. And so another way of thinking about this and another way of looking at the degree to which the UK has opportunity and UK businesses have got opportunity in innovation is to think about them in 3 different ways. So at one level, it's the deep digital infrastructure, the advanced digital infrastructure of 5G, 6G, the future telecoms, which are in a state of extraordinary transformation at the moment. The softwareization of networks is accelerating at a very, very rapid pace. And what we're seeing in the UK is an opportunity to diversify the supply chain into the telecoms community. So the traditional vendors like Ericsson and Nokia are now receiving a huge amount of competition from new entrants coming in, taking advantage of these opportunities around softwareization. And we're facilitating that with labs and with programs that are really helping businesses move very rapidly into this space. In that case, interestingly, the numbers of companies that are participating in that and looking at coming into the UK market are actually more from outside the UK coming in than actually from the UK itself. But we're very keen to actually see companies who are based here participating in that as well. A second area that combines all these technologies where we see a huge opportunity is what you might talk about as virtual environments. And we've had some references to the metaverse, and in some respects, perhaps some of you might think the metaverse is a busted flush. I think absolutely not. I think we've seen the first enabling experiments, and we've seen the initial bursting of the bubble. But on the other hand, I think the opportunity that we're seeing for the next generation, when we look at enormous platforms like Roblox, like Minecraft, where the monetization of the experience is absolutely gripping. And the numbers of users on Fortnite, for example, is now about 52 million a month active users, which is an incredible user base to grow from. So we can see that in areas like that, there's enormous opportunity. And why do I think that the UK specifically has got a potential there that we haven't grown yet? It's because actually a lot of the components inside those kinds of game and virtual environments are all drawn from entertainment of one sort or another. And the UK actually has great strengths in music, in theatre, film and television, in storytelling, in theatre and visual effects. And all of those things are actually components that come together into these kinds of metaverse environments, which are just beginning. We're just really seeing the first generation of. On the other hand, using those same technologies and the same opportunities, we can also see incredible industrial applications of those technologies into digital twins. And at the moment, digital twins are something that people talk about a lot. They're almost all custom environments which people create, individual companies create for their own purposes. We've yet to see the beginnings of interoperability between digital twins. And if you think of a digital twin as a method for controlling industrial processes remotely in virtual environments, as well as designing those processes up front to eliminate waste so you don't have to design a physical prototype until you've completed it in a virtual space, the opportunity to connect those sorts of digital twins to one another and have them communicate starts to open up the possibilities of not just a digital twin, but actually an industrial metaverse in which those kinds of activities really start to work together. So again, we're just at the very earliest stages of how that may progress. And we're in the process of establishing a facility in Northern Ireland, in Belfast, which will be a £50 million facility designed specifically to reduce the cost of creating digital twins, but increase the interoperability of them between one another so that businesses can really interact. So enormous opportunities there to really accelerate the economy. And the third area kind of flows directly from those two, if you like, one being the underpinning, the other being the interface, if you like. And that is really the whole space between companies. So much of the digital transformation that companies have been undergoing for the last 10 or 15 years have all been about what goes on inside the company, not what goes on between companies. And digital supply chains and the digitization of supply chains is an extraordinary opportunity area. It's also an incredible need right now. I don't think I need to tell anyone in this room the kind of vulnerability and fragility that we've all experienced in supply chains over the last 3 years, particularly since COVID and the Ukraine. So in those three areas, you can see an incredible range of possible activities. And the way that we work as an organization is absolutely about partnering and bringing people together. We work with probably 400 early-stage companies a year. Many of those are seed or pre-Series A. And we also work with a large number of traditional industrial players like BAE Systems and Thales in the defense sector, or Ericsson in the telecoms sector. One of the things that we try to do is to create facilities and lab environments, studios, experimental networks, where people can come get their hands dirty with the technology, and you can really immerse yourself and understand what the opportunity is for your particular business model. The fact is that technological solutions alone are not the answer. The technological solution combined with what makes your business model work, or how to change your business model to accommodate it, is really the critical factor. And in our experience, bringing people together, getting them to collaborate with people they wouldn't otherwise collaborate with, and putting them in an environment where they can really put the technology to the test is by far the best way of doing that. So at the moment, we have, I think, around the country, some 7 5G test beds where companies are engaging in that kind of activity. I've mentioned the work we're doing in Belfast. In the media space, we're just in the process of launching 2 new studios, which are research and development media production studios. So in the media space, production of film, television, and games is massively disrupted by digital technologies at the moment, many of which come from the games sector and are being used in film and TV. The concept of virtual production was probably best known around the Disney film or Disney TV series, The Mandalorian, that many of you may have seen on Disney+. That was the first show that made use of game engines, i.e. software platforms that are actually designed to create virtual computer video games and applying those to the production of film and television programs. The opportunity there to change the entire process is one that is undergoing extraordinary change. Currently, about 10% of all media production, film and television, globally is using these virtual techniques. So there's a huge way to go before that really becomes mainstream. One of the things that goes along with all of this, though, is that the degree to which digitalization increases productivity and efficiency also has a really direct effect on the level of emissions and the net zero targets that companies are trying to achieve. And so when we look at these 2 objectives together, when we think about the challenge of how climate change is going to be addressed on the one hand, and the degree to which innovation on the other is an imperative, we can see that in many respects they're 2 sides of the same coin. And I think, if you're interested, we'd love to talk to you. I think there's an opportunity for enormous new kinds of collaboration between financial services businesses, both at the fintech level, but also at the corporate level, to work with many of our industrial partners in different sectors, in defense, in the energy sector, in the creative industries, and we'd love to hear from you. Together, I think we can attack what is the kind of digital green transformation that we need to undergo. And if we do that, then none of us have to worry about whether it's ChatGPT or GPT-4 that's going to replace our jobs, and we can think much more about how we enhance value, how we create bigger solutions for some of the broader challenges that the planet faces. And I think together we can do that really effectively. So come and find me afterwards and look forward to talking. Thank you very much.